Welcome back, everybody. I hope you got some rest over that international break because not only is the Premier League back, but the Champions League is about to kick off its newly formatted league stage. Now, we'll have to hold off on those juicy UCL picks until the other side of the weekend, but for the rest, you can catch it all today on Coffee with a Kick. Hello and welcome back to another episode of Coffee with a Kick, this time on the other side of that first international break. Now, I don't want to really talk about it as far as the U.S. men's national team is concerned, just because it wasn't a great international break. But we do have Pochettino officially announced, so that is nice. But that's not why we're here today. We're here because the Premier League's back, obviously. So, Matchday 4 picks coming your way in just a moment. But before we get there, anything you want to say before we get started here, Keegan?
I think with the U.S. men's national team, it was one of those transitions where we just said, this is the last international break where we'll be a bad team. So let's be as bad as possible, and then let's let Pochettino come in.
Well, we didn't lose to New Zealand. We drew New Zealand.
Yeah. Well, to each their own. But anyways, Premier League is back. I'm actually pretty excited to see some of these matchups in match week 4. Mm-hmm. So we'll see how they shake out.
Yeah. And starting us off this match day, we have one of those I'm sure you were looking forward to here. Southampton hosts Manchester United, with Manchester United obviously being the favorite in this one. How much of a shot do you give Southampton to get points out of this? I'm sure you'll be totally unbiased.
Southampton, honestly, they're at home, so anything can happen. Man U's been pretty bad, but they haven't been bad enough to lose to Southampton. Southampton, again, the first 3 match weeks, like we've seen and like we've talked about, they just haven't been a Premier League side yet. Mm-hmm. If they want to stay up, they're going to have to start moving the needle in their performance. I don't think Man U is going to be the team they're going to start getting points against. So I think Man U wins 2-1. I think it's close-ish, but I think they take it 2-1.
All right. I do have Southampton getting a point here, but just one. 2-2 is my pick, just because they are at home, and we'll see if United has to sort some things out. We'll see. I picked them to stay up, so I need them to start getting some points. Okay, so this is going to be their first one. Going to get them off the bottom. Not going to be rock bottom anymore. That's still going to be Everton. Spoiler alert. But we will see certainly early in the morning on Saturday for us. Then we move to another one of these newly promoted sides. Brighton hosts Ipswichtown at the Amex at one of the many 10 a.m. slot fixtures here. I do have this one. I have Brighton continuing to roll. I don't think Ipswich Town is going to go into the Amex and get any points. I've got it as a 2-0 victory for Brighton. They're moving pretty well, and I don't think Ipswich is going to have the capability to trip them up.
I think after an international break, anything can happen, especially with the smaller teams not having as many of their teammates moving to international duty. A lot of the bigger clubs has their players doing international duty as well, so it's not much of a break. Ipswich, I think, gets some goals in this one. I think it's a goal fest. Ooh. But you're right. I don't think Brighton lose at the Amex. I think it goes 3-2 Brighton.
3-2. A nice, exciting match there for Brighton. Yeah, I'd be down for 3-2. As long as they win, that means I'm still right. So I'm fine with that. Crystal Palace hosts Leicester City at their place there at Selhurst Park. Now, do them Flying Eagles with their terrible palm tree bloody eagle uniforms, do they continue to not flounder, but do they continue to underperform some of the talent that they have here against Leicester?
Well, I don't think they're going to underperform in this match, but I think I've been extremely impressed with Leicester's defense and organization over the first couple of match weeks. I think this one goes 1-1. I don't think Crystal Palace is there yet as far as being able to put together a full performance. And I think Leicester's defense is good enough to go into Selhurst Park and get a draw. So 1-1 is my prediction.
Well, this is my, I guess it isn't that crazy of a prediction since Crystal Palace is favored. But, it's gets a little bit of type here. I have Crystal Palace going 3-1 over Leicester. I think that they finally start figuring some stuff out up top and converting on some of the good opportunities that they have squandered in the season thus far. From there, another 10 a.m. Saturday spot. Fulham hosts West Ham United. Fulham the favorite in this one, which I find a bit surprising. I do have it going, though, as a draw between these two. A 1-1 draw, because I just don't think that either side has impressed too much this season. And it's pretty even across the board for this one. So Fulham is only a slight favorite in our thing here. But, what do you have for them?
Yeah, I think Fulham being the favorite is simply because they're the home team. Neither team has shown they're up to the level. West Ham definitely not up to the level they were last year. Fulham a little bit better of a start than last season. But still, both teams are trying to figure out who they are with new players, new managers. I think I'm going to give Fulham a slight edge in the first half, and West Ham come back in the second half and get a 2-2 draw. 2-2,
yeah. That seems, right in the ballpark. We're both right at that same tide. West Ham has certainly had a tougher road to hoe so far. With having to take on Aston Villa and Manchester City already. So coming back and having Fulham they feel like they have a fair shot at getting 3 points here. So they'll come out disappointed, but still they have a shot at getting 3. Then to a team that doesn't really have a shot at getting 3, I think this is another 10 a.m. match. Yes, the last one. No, there's another one after this. Another 10 a.m. match. This one, Anfield. Liverpool hosts Nottingham Forest. How bad do you think this one gets? Or are you going to be a true contrarian here?
As much as I love an Anfield loss, since there's only been 2 in the last 100 games of Virgil van Dijk's career.
Sheesh.
I'm going to go 2-0 Liverpool win. I just don't think Nottingham are as prolific against the bigger clubs as they are versus the smaller clubs.
Yeah.
And Liverpool has been pretty stout. Could be worse than 2-0, but I'm going to go 2-0 just to give the international break lull that sometimes happens.
I've got it worse than 2-0. I've got it 4-0 for Liverpool. And I think Darwin Nunez gets himself... Wait, am I talking about the right team here? Yeah. I had to check myself here for a moment. I think Darwin Nunez actually gets a goal. Shockingly. As you all know, I don't have any love for Darwin Nunez. Don't know why. It's sort of like when I picked... I just don't like Novak Djokovic for some reason as a tennis player. He's very good, and I should like him, but... For some reason, I've picked him as my enemy in the sport. So, Darwin Nunez, you're on my list. Whatever that means. Then we go the last 10 a.m. Saturday match. Another one that probably is going to be out of reach for the away side. Manchester City hosts Brentford. The biggest spread for this weekend, obviously, with Manchester City rolling on through. My question for you is, do they keep a clean sheet?
I don't think so. I think this is going to be a very open match, and Brentford is not going to be shy about their ability to attack. So I'm going to go 5-1. I think it's going to be a blowout. I think Brentford's going to score. They may even pull an Ipswich and score first. They have a couple of guys up front that could, if they get a chance, they will sneak past the defense and they will put it in. But being at the Etihad in the form that Man City is in, not a ton of Man City players went and actually played an international duty. So I don't believe Brentford really have a shot in this one. It'll kind of be like any team playing Man City at this point. How can we just mitigate our losses here so that it doesn't hurt us later in goal difference and so on and so forth?
Yeah, I've got Brentford doing a little bit better job when it comes to that regard. I only have it 3-1 because I do think that City leak a goal. They're prone to do that, especially late. They either do it early or late, it seems like. A silly goal in the beginning or a silly goal late. Or, one of those where you just throw up your hands like, you know what, that was a great strike. There's nothing I could do about that. And then they continue to win matches in the end with pretty relative ease. City, I'm on the same boat there. Just not as dire of a situation for Brentford as you have. Then we go to, finally we're out of the 10 a.m. slot, to 12:30 with Aston Villa hosting the poor boys from Everton. This one, I think, Aston Villa, they stumbled into the international break. I think they come out on the other side and get 3 pretty easily, a 2-0 victory at their home place there at Villa Park in Birmingham.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. 2-0 feels pretty good. Everton have not shown they can score. And Aston Villa at home, honestly, don't score a ton.
No.
But they do get the job done as far as clean sheets go. And they're just really solid up front. And I don't think Everton can keep a clean sheet, so I'm going to go 2-0 as well.
Yeah. Everton, I don't know if Jordan Pickford's going to be able to save you this year, Everton, because, well, I won't harp on that again, that they didn't fix their goal scoring problem, but oh no, I just said it. Then to the 3 p.m. slot, Bournemouth hosts Chelsea, and for this one, listen, my preseason predictions was very high on Chelsea. They have not performed as well as I would have liked so far, so they're going to get it started here, okay? 5-1 Chelsea victory. It's bold, I know, but that's what I'm going with here. They need to get started on progressing up the table. 11th is not where I have them.
Bournemouth has impressed me with how they played thus far. They're sitting on 5 points. A draw versus Newcastle, a draw versus Nottingham at Nottingham, beating Everton in their own Goodison Park. This game, I think, is going to be really exciting. A night game at Vitality Stadium. It's what the Premier League is about. I think this one could be a classic.
Wow.
I'm going to go a 4-3 Chelsea victory, but a late winner gets the win. Chelsea has been flip-flopping on, we're going to score a lot of goals. We're going to let a lot of goals in. We're going to not score any goals. We're going to draw 1-1. After the international break, they're going to come out swinging. I think Bournemouth will do the same. I think it's a 4-3 exciting match to end Saturday action.
That certainly would be a highlight of the weekend. I thought my 6 goals a lot. You've topped me by 1. How dare you? Why? I don't know why. How dare you?
I mean, mine will be a little bit closer, obviously.
For sure. Certainly more exciting. I mean, 5-1, it could be exciting, but also it gets a little bit repetitive at that point. Then we move over to Sunday. Finally, we move over to Sunday with probably the best matchup of the weekend as far as team to team. Tottenham hosts Arsenal on Sunday morning at 9 a.m. How do you think this one goes? How about that? How do you think this one goes?
Well, my prediction before Martin Odegaard got hurt on international duty was a draw 1-1. After Martin Odegaard has been injured, might miss up to 3 weeks, Declan Rice not going to be in this one due to the red card. They have a couple of other players banged up that are going to be game time decisions. I don't think this is going to go well for Arsenal at Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. I think it's going to be 3-1. Tottenham are not injured. Tottenham are fresh. They actually had players who played extremely well over the international break. Heung-min Son got some goals. I think it's not going to be good for Arsenal. They're depleted. 2 of their best midfielders are out. I just don't think Arsenal is going to like the way they play on Saturday or on Sunday.
Boy, that's why you always check the injury reports, huh? That's why you should always do that. I'm still going to stick with what I've got. I've got it as a 3-3 draw for these two. no one comes home no one leaves happy. Well, at this point, Arsenal would leave happy with missing two of their main players there in the midfield, like you said. But I'll stick with my guns, 3-3. It's not a units play. And then we move to... why do we have to save this for last? My Wolves have the primetime slot on Sunday at Molineux. This is Newcastle United. I don't give us much of a shot. I have us losing 2-0. I'm getting it over with. 2-0 is, I think, how we're going to lose it.
I have it as a 1-1 draw. Wolves at the Molineux, again, have historically been much better at home than away. Wolves have historically also been better at the very beginning and end of international breaks. It was at the right before the international break started where they beat City a couple of years ago. They beat some other big clubs right after international breaks. I think they're gonna hit a Newcastle team that's going to be in that lull of coming back from the international break, not having practiced as a full squad for a while. And I think they're going to take a point, which is going to be huge for Wolves at this point in the season.
Certainly. I would take a point in a singular heartbeat. It might even move us out of the relegation zone, which we're just make it through. Just make it through to the next season. Please.
Yeah, what are your shocking, looking at the first 3 weeks played, what's your shocking point? It's based on the standings.
Man U down in 14th is not what I would have expected. I mean, they retained Ten Hag, so you think that he's going to come in and really be playing, he's going to be playing with some sort of vigor and some sort of impetus to win, but they beat Fulham, which they needed to do, but then they lose at the Amex to Brighton 2-1, which wasn't a great result, and then they lose 3-0. They get blanked by Liverpool just before the international break. That was a rough match. I mean, it wasn't even close. So I think that's probably my negative so far. And then for the top, you got to go Brighton. I mean, last season they started off well. We'll see if they can continue going forward. But them being in third, I think you couldn't be happier at this point if you're Brighton.
Yeah, I have... My shock one for me is a mixture. The shocking one is Chelsea sits at 11th, and they scored, 6 goals in a match? Yet they sit 11th, and they only have 7 goals for. So that shows the volatility of Chelsea after just 3 match weeks. I don't know what that's going to look like near the end of the season, but them being at 11th is shocking. Everton, it probably shouldn't shock me, but them not even being able to draw yet, only scoring 2 goals, letting in 10 goals, that's pretty shocking to me. But the table, it's early. You just never know where a team like Brentford's going to end up. Like, they're in 6th. They've won a couple of good ones. But Brentford, Brighton, Bournemouth, can they stay there? We'll see. Yeah,
Brentford is more of a reflection of that they haven't... I mean, the one big team that they faced, they got blanked. Liverpool beating them 2-0. So, yeah, they'll probably revert to the mean at some point during the season, you would expect. But, kudos to them for being up in 6th. You beat the team in front of you that you can beat, and it works out for you in the end. If you win what you're supposed to, then you typically do well. If you win, you do well. I don't know if you know this.
That's true. That's very true.
Thank you. I appreciate your validation on that. But enough of our witty banter. That wraps up this episode. We'll be back on the other side of the weekend with a recap episode. And, Champions League is here. Now, did we say that we were going to have a solo preview episode? Yes, we did. We ended up saying to ourselves, why don't we just wrap it all into a preview and prediction episode? So look for that early next week. Before the Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday matches. We'll cover it all at that point. But until we get there, why don't you go ahead and grab your coffee, watch some soccer, and we'll see you on the other side. So bye.